Hello everybody and welcome back to another Transformers review. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at not one, but two of the brand new Transformers Legacy Velocitron Speedia 500 collection, Deluxe Class G2 Universe Shadowstrip and Decepticon Crasher. And we're just going to get stuck straight into it. So to kickstart things off, we're going to be taking a look at Shadowstrip, probably the weakest out of the wave in my opinion, and let's just talk about Wave 2 for Velocitron. So far I think it's been incredibly underwhelming. For Wave 1 we had Scourge, Override and Cosmos, which were absolute bangers, whereas here for Wave 2 they all appear to be pretty weak repaints. But anyhow, here we have the packaging, which I think is probably going to be the best thing about this release. As you guys can see, we do get Shadowstrip there on the left, and as we come around here to the back we get some pretty nifty product shots. So let's crack this guy open. And here we have Shadowstrip, of course, as he comes packaged in his vehicle mode. And for a repaint, it's actually pretty nicely done, but I just thought that Dragstrip wasn't the greatest deluxe. It was definitely one of the better out of the Stunticons, don't get me wrong, but just didn't have that wow factor like some of the previous War for Cybertron figures in my opinion. But this is a decent repaint, and I mean, come on, Hasbro, they're going to do it, aren't they? They're going to give us a G2 set of Stunticons, and I'm just going to be honest with you guys, I don't think I'm going to go for it. I mean, I particularly don't feel like forking out another Commander class, especially if it's just going to be a straight up repaint, and the Stunticons individually really and truly didn't wow me besides Motormaster and some pieces about Dragstrip. But anyhow, as we take a look at the details, primarily cast in black plastic as you would expect, and sadly no, this isn't that rumoured Shadow Striker. I guess we'll just have to wait for the main line of Legacy Evolution, but some decent details. I love the flag detail that we have here slapped along the side. Of course he is in the race for Velocitron. We do get some nice details for the front and that hollowed out head, which of course acts as the seat for the pilot. Some nice golden engine detail, and that is pretty much it here for him in vehicle mode. Now for a very quick comparison, here we have him alongside his mold mate, that being Dragstrip. Identical molds, it merely is just the colours which differ, and yeah, it's a pretty sick and nifty looking repaint, I won't lie. And accessory wise, he comes with the same as Dragstrip, those Energon infused blasters, which this time have just been spray painted in a nice metallic blue, which look pretty cool. But I'm sure you guys are all wondering, how does this actually look when pegged on to Menasor? Well, let's get stuck into that. So seeing as he is essentially a Dragstrip repaint, he attaches in the exact same way, so we're just going to peg him on, and he detaches, aka splits, in the same way. So we're just going to snap him in two halves. I want two pieces, and there we have Shadowstrip installed onto the side of our Menasor arm, and not looking too bad. I mean, even if you don't want to pick up all these G2 Stunticons, undeniably this is definitely going to spice up the current G1 Menasor, as it is quite a cool looking repaint to just have slapped on the side of the arm, but I just don't think overall warrants that Walmart exclusive price tag. Now very quickly going through the transformation from Alt to Robot mode to kickstart things off, you're going to want to flip down that rear spoiler. We can then take these pieces here, extend those forwards, and then extend out those knee joints. That will then allow us to snap these panels here into place and split the legs. What you'll then want to do is essentially take the cockpit, lift this section up and rotate it around, flip out that Shadowstrip head sculpt. We can then hinge this section down and then rotate here at the waist, so essentially the front is now facing the back. You'll then want to detach the forearms from these tiny little posts, and that will allow us to split to the front of the vehicle and basically just hinge this here all the way down, fold these pieces to the back, snap that section in there. We can then take these wheels here, flip those out to the back, flip the forearm guards also to the back, and there we have Shadowstrip fully transformed up into his bot mode. And like I mentioned previously, identical to Dragstrip in every single way besides the color deco. So let's get stuck into it. So here we have the head sculpt, painted in a very similar metallic blue to the blasters, although the red for the visor is a little sloppy, so maybe he's been slashed down in battle with Cosmos' flag. I guess we'll just have to wait for the next part of the Velocitron story to actually see what goes on there. But nice detailing for the chest. I do like some of these golden highlights and some of the internal circuitry detail. That's pretty awesome to see. And overall, I mean, it's not a bad looking repaint, but again, G2 Stunticons, personally, I'm not really feeling it. But yeah, he doesn't look too bad here in bot mode. Let's very quickly bring out that Dragstrip comparison, just so you guys can see how these two stack up next to each other. And again, identical mold wise, it really is just the paint which differs. Let me know down in the comment section below, out of these two molds, which is the color deco you guys prefer, Dragstrip or Shadowstrip. And jumping into the second half of the review, here we have Decepticon Crasher, another Decepticon baddie, inspired by, I want to say, the GoBots universe, despite them not using that trademark anywhere to be seen here on the packaging. Now, I was really looking forward to this one. I think it was probably my most anticipated one, along with the actual Galaxy Shuttle, but sadly, having this in hand, this leaves a lot to be desired. I mean, the head sculpt is going going to be basically a reuse of Hollow Mirage, and it is the Eartherized Mirage mold and not the Siege version, meaning that we're going to have to slap that shoulder cannon on the back, a back cannon instead of a shoulder cannon. But anyway, as we take a look here at the packaging, we get some very cool artwork there of Crasher. She looks pretty sick. We get some nice product shots here at the top, the figure in alt mode, and as we come around to the back, again, some pretty cool looking product shots. So let's crack her open and see what the latest Decepticon baddie for the Velocitron subline has in store for us. And here we have Decepticon Crasher in her Formula 1 vehicle mode, and a really nice repaint. I like the way this one's turned out quite a bit, but it is just a shame that Hasbro didn't put a little bit more budget into this and give us a proper female head sculpt, as we're left with something that does look a little bit strange, I'm going to be honest. But spoilers for the bot mode. Here in terms of vehicle mode, I actually think she looks great, and the paintwork across the board is really nice, especially the glossy black that you guys can see. I really like the way that looks, and the sculpt work for the front, despite this not being my preferred mold for Mirage, is actually pretty decent. We do get the nice 01 logo there, Decepticon, and as we come around here to the back, really and truly not much going on at all. So let's just get her transformed. To kickstart things off, you'll just want to take this piece here and detach it from kind of the seat region. We can then split the spoiler and then split what will become the arms. We can then rotate these sections here out to the sides, and then basically you're just going to want to split right down the middle. Now this can be a little tricky to do, especially as the joints are quite stiff, but basically you're going to want to hinge this section out, and then what we can do is flip this wheel over, hinge out the toe, and then fold this section here in upon itself, and basically just rotate at the thigh. So do the same here for this side. So basically bend, and then get this section here out like so, flip up the toe, rotate that backwards, and that's not supposed to happen, so reattach that, hinge that there to the back, and then just snap that into place just like this. Now what we can do is flip these sections up. You'll then want to basically disengage this section, flip up her head, and then this will snap into the back like so, and we can just flip those wheels around, take these sections here, snap those into place, angle this down, take the spoiler, rotate this up, come around to the front, flip out her evil little robot hands, and then what we can do is just compress the torso just like so, and there we have Decepticon Crasher fully transformed up into her robot mode. And she's a nice repaint slash minor retool. I definitely think this figure could have been a lot better, however. I mean, you got to take into account how awesome Override and Cosmos was, and it just appears as if though Wave 2 has had next to no additional budget. I mean, I think this could have been a lot better had they given her a proper distinctive head sculpt and maybe retooled perhaps the chest just to resemble a slightly more female body, but in terms of detailing, it does look decent. I do like the head sculpt, although again, it is that Hollow Mirage head, which I think does just look a little ugly, especially for a female transformer. I mean, I'm going to pop up an image of what Crasher from GoBots is actually supposed to look like, and I think they could have given us a pretty sweet sculpt, but decently painted. What I will say, however, is that this head was never intended for the Earth Mode Mirage body, because these side pieces of the helmet just like to ding and dent into these white pieces, which is super restrictive as far as articulation goes, and I definitely don't want to scratch off any of the paint, so that is something worth bearing in mind. But here for the chest, as you guys can see, looking really cool. The arms and the legs, everything about this looks sweet. I won't bore you guys with articulation, as I'm sure you all know how it works, but just note that all of the joints feel incredibly tight and secure, as they would if this was the first run of this mold. Now, accessory wise, yes, she comes with the same ones as the Earth Mode Mirage, so we do get the missile, which looks really cool. Sadly, again, considering this is the Earth Mode body, we can't actually peg it into the shoulder, which is such a shame, so instead, what we're left to do is either peg it into this port, or what many of us do, peg it into the back, like so, and just kind of angle the shoulder to try and fake it. And then we do get one blaster, which again, cast in black plastic and can just be pegged here into the hand. So in all, decent repaint, but one that I think could have been a lot better had they just given us a little more budget, especially considering this is one of our first kind of GoBot universe characters into the main line. It would have been cool to see them actually go all out, but anyhow, we're left with a repaint. Now here for a few comparisons, we have Shadowstrip compared alongside Crasher, and they look pretty cool next to each other. Velocitron Deluxe Class Cosmos, and finally the big bad of the race, the Velocitron Leader Class Scourge. And wrapping up on this review for the Transformers Legacy Velocitron Deluxe Class Crasher and Shadowstrip. In all, I think both of these are pretty mediocre at best. I mean, they could have been a lot better had they actually had some new tooling, even if they'd just given us a brand new head sculpt instead of in in the case of Crasher, basically plugging things from older bodies that we got a couple of years back. I do think the Shadowstrip repaint is nicely done, but unless you're going to be a diehard completionist of what will undeniably be a whole host of G2 inspired Stunticons, then I really don't think there's a place for this guy in the collection. And like I said previously, I thought that the Stunticons individually were pretty mediocre, so if they do plan to give us a whole set of G2 Stunticons, I'm probably going to stop right here with Shadowstrip. But he is decent. I mean, I do like the paint deco. And then we jump into Crasher, which is undeniably the more interesting out of the bunch, not only because she is a GoBots character, but also because we haven't had a figure of this character for a very long time, and she actually does look pretty decent. I mean, the head sculpt, again, considering it's a reuse of the Hollow Mirage sculpt, there's only so much they could do with it, and it does look a little ugly, I won't lie. Had they given us just a brand new sculpt for her, I think it could have turned the tides of this actually being a pretty decent release, but as it stands, again, it's pretty mediocre. I do like the repaint though, she does look pretty sick, but unless you have a massive attachment to the character, I really don't think there's anything new here, to say the least, that actually warrants that Walmart exclusive Velocitron price tag. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below. What do you guys think of these two? Are they figures that you plan on adding to the collection? And until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.